Welcome to the Word of Truth. This is Teacher D.H. Boone, and today's message is called A Strong Will to Move Forward. As we know, we all have a purpose for our life, and we have a plan that God has for our life. In order for that plan to transpire and for us to fulfill our purpose, we have to have a strong will to move forward. Anything in life, you have to have a strong will to move forward, because if you don't, it's easy to give up. Just like Jesus, he had a strong will to move forward with God's plan and his purpose for his life. And in order for him to fulfill God's purpose, he had to go through a lot of pain. But what Jesus did was he kept his eyes on the purpose and kept his eyes on God, what he had to do, what he had to accomplish. So therefore, everything that he had to go through, whether it was good or painful, he made sure he kept his eyes on his purpose and his plan and the goal for his life. And that's what made him ending up enduring the cross. He didn't get off of it. He didn't try to get away from it. He didn't complain about it. He went through the necessary things that he had to go through in order to fulfill the purpose. And he had to have a will to do it. And you have to have a strong will, especially when things get tough, to go through what you have to go through in order to reach your goal or your purpose or destiny in life. You know, God didn't say it was going to be easy. But just think about all the basketball players, the football players, the soccer players. Just think about the entertainers, the singers, the rappers, the actresses, the actors. Just think about Bill Gates, people who own company, people who own businesses. You know, just think about people who get up and go to work. You know, all these things, you have to have a will to do it. You know, in life, you're going to have obstacles. It's going to be time people going to be sick. It's going to be time people going to have strife, like on their job, in the company, in their life, in their family. But whatever going on, you have to realize that the enemy is here to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants to destroy your focus so he could destroy your will to move on. He wants you to give up and give in to him and his lies so you won't move forward and fulfill God's purpose and plan for your life. So whatever going on, you have to keep the picture. You have to keep the focus in your mind and say, whatever I'm going through, I have to keep this in mind so I could keep moving forward. Have you noticed that it's a lot of people, before they find out that they have some type of disease, that they're enjoying life, they living okay, they having fun, they're smiling, but they could find out the next day. Now the day before they find out, they're happy and they turn up for life each and every day. You know, they show up for life each and every day and they're happy, and but the minute they found out those results, they start to decline, because they start keeping they focus on the disease and not keeping their focus on their Lord and their healing, because Jesus said by his stripes we are healed. And by that being said, and God said that his purpose is for us is to prosper and to grow and to be in good health. You know, so if God says that, and God is not a liar, you know, then we have to make sure that we say Jesus died for us to be healthy. Jesus died for us to be whole. I'm not going to let this disease stop me. I'm going to keep God's word alive inside me. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm not going to let this disease defeat me, but I'm going to defeat this disease through the one who died for me, and that's Jesus Christ, because he took our pain and our punishment upon himself. He took us, our old nature, upon himself and buried it so we could have a new life, and we rose to consciousness to a new creature in him. And so he died for us to have a new life. And so I am healthy and whole in him. And I'm going to keep my eyes and mind on him. I'm not going to let the doctor's report override what I know to be true about God and his word. Jesus is the living water. Jesus is the truth, light, life, and way to God the Father. Jesus is sitting at the right hand of God the Father. He had to go through a lot. He carried all our burdens. You know, they treated him so bad. He went through a lot of pain. But what did he do? He didn't give up. He had to have a strong will, a strong determination to keep moving forward. His eyes had to be on a purpose. His eyes had to be on his goal. His eyes had to be on his focus. He had to be focused on what it is he had to do. He couldn't have taken his eyes off, because if he had, he would have gave in. But what he did was he did ask God, would you take this cup from me? But God said no. So he was determined. He said, God said that I got to keep going. So I'm going to have to be determined to keep going. I can't get out of this. I have a purpose and a plan. I know it's hard. Yes, people is prosecuting me. Yes, they're talking about me. They're mocking me. But I gotta keep going on. Imagine how he felt on the cross when they put nails in his hands and his feet, a crown of thorns on his head, when they pierced him in his side and whipped him on his back and spat on him and mocked him. You know it had to be painful. But he said, I must go on. He kept his eyes and mind on the Lord, on his Father, which is in heaven. He said, because I want to fulfill the purpose. In order for me to fulfill the purpose, I must go through these hard times. I must go through these painful times. I have to do this, because in order for me to get to where God wants me to be, I must follow his lead. I must do what he tell me to do. I can't stop it. I can't go backwards. I got to keep pressing forward, and I have to have a strong will, a strong determination to move forward. And that's what you have to realize in life. That's why people end up dying and losing their life, because they give up hope. They take their eyes off the healing. When Jesus said, come to me, all those are heavy laden with burden, and I will give you rest. He said, take my yoke upon thee and learn of me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And you see that the woman with the issue of blood, she had an issue of blood for years, and she finally came to herself, and she was so low she couldn't get no lower. And she saw Jesus, and it was a whole crowd around him, but she had a strong determination. Even though she was low to the ground, she kept pressing and she kept pressing, because her focus was on the Lord. Her focus was on the healing, and she know how she get to her healing is she have to press to the Lord. She said, if I just touch the hem of his garment, that I will be made whole. And when she pressed and she pressed, it was a whole crowd around her, but she didn't give up. She didn't make any excuses like most people do. They try to make excuses to give up, but she kept pressing. She said, I've been in this condition for too long, and now I got my eyes on the Lord. I'm not going to get my eyes off the Lord. I don't care what distractions is around me. All these people crowded around me. I'm going to keep pressing. And that's what she did. She was at her lowest point in her life. She couldn't get no lower, and that's why she was so low to the ground. That's why she said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, because she said, even though I'm low, it's still the part of him I could touch. I could touch the hem of his garment, and I would be made whole. Her faith made her determined. She was determined because she had a focus. She had a goal in her mind, and she know that the plan and purpose for her life was to get healthy and to get whole. And she had to, once she got her focus, she knew she couldn't lose it. She didn't care who was around her, but she pressed through that crowd. And so God is telling you, whatever going on in your life, you have to have a strong will to move forward. No matter what obstacles in your way, you do not have no choice but to move forward, because you cannot afford to go backwards. You have to keep pressing forward. Yes, it's going to get hard. It's going to be some low times in your life. Yes, things is going to look in the natural like it's not going to work, but you have to keep moving forward. You have to keep moving. You have to keep your focus. You have to keep the goal. You have to keep it, that desire inside you. You have to keep it strong, because if you don't, the enemy going to come by and he going to snatch it away, because what he does is he like to distort the picture so the picture looks something different, so the picture look like that it's not going to work and it's not going to happen with you. He tried to put fear in you so you won't believe, and so you give up hope. But you must keep hope. You must keep pressing. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care what the doctor's report said. You have to know that God is the healer. You have to know that God, he the one that heals, and he the one who sets free, and through his son you could be made whole. All you have to do is keep pressing, but don't take your eyes off the healing. Don't take your eyes off of Jesus Christ. You got to keep pressing and say, I am not going to give up. I don't care how I feel. I don't care what symptoms I'm having. I'm going to keep my eyes on my healing, on my Lord, on the one who died for me to have a good life. You have to say, I'm going to keep pressing. He told me to come to him if I was heavy laden with burden, he would give me rest. He told me to take his yoke upon myself and learn of him, because his yoke is easy and his burden is light. And that's what I'm going to take. I'm going to trade my burden. I'm going to give it to him, and I'm going to take his light. You know, I'm going to give him this sickness, and I'm going to take his healing. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give him this burden, and the yoke that I want to have is going to be tied to him. I'm going to give him that yoke that I was tied to with the enemy of sickness and disease. I'm going to trade him. I'm going to give it to him and let him handle that. But I'm going to take his healing, because I am going to be free. So you have to be determined. Can't nobody be determined for you. You have to have the light on side. You have to have the light of desire to keep moving forward. And you have to say, I'm determined. I am determined. I'm dedicated. I'm keeping my eyes on and mind on my purpose. I know for God's plan and purpose for me. I know that I have to go through certain things, but I know that in order for me to get to where I know I need to be, I have to go through certain things in a certain road to get there. I can't turn. I can't make no detours. I got to keep straight. Yes, it's going to be painful. Yes, it's going to be people against me. Yes, I'm going to lose relationships. Yes, I'm going to have to step away from some things that I like. Yes, I'm going to lose things. It's places that I can't go no more, but I'm going to keep pressing, because I am determined to get all that God have for me. And I want all that God called me to do and to be. You know, just like, you know, all these people who lose their life, they lose their focus. They let the enemy come and put fear in them. And they stop looking at the Lord and looking at their healing. And they start looking on the outward appearance of, Lord, this is not going to work. This is not going to happen. The doctor told me I just had 6 months. Or the doctor told me this is disabling disease, you know. But when you start feeling sorry for yourself, that's when you start declining. But you have to think about all the people who lost their life from giving up hope. You have to think of a lot of people who overcame cancer, overcame disabling diseases, overcame, you know, they may have the same disease that somebody else have, and they living a normal life and they being happy. It's because they had a strong will to keep going. They didn't listen to that doctor's report. They listened to God's report. And that's what you have to do. You have to have a strong will to move forward in life, and whatever you want to do in life. It's just like I said, how you think the basketball players become NBA players? It's because, you know what, they kept that goal in their mind. They kept their focus, even though it was hard. They had to go through training. They had to go through practice, you know, and long nights of it. You know, they made sure that even though it was hard, they kept their focus, and they knew that it was necessary to go through what they had to go through. They was determined. They ain't let nothing stop them. And what you think about football players, entertainers, what they do was they had a focus. They had a dream, and they kept their focus. No matter what distractions was around them, they kept on pressing. Even if they failed, they got back up and dusted themselves off, and they kept moving forward. And that's what you have to do. You can't give up hope. You have to realize that you have to have a strong will to get up, you know. And it's sometimes we have to do things. It's just like like this morning, God gave me this message. Earlier I had did a message, but I was kind of half asleep, and the software was downloading on my tablet, and so my phone, I did it on my phone, but it wasn't what God told me to do. So, I had woke up and I was just tired. I mean, I was so fatigued, and I wanted something to eat, and I was like, I kept seeing a picture of it, but I was like, oh Lord, I just don't feel like it, Then I said, wait, but then I said, Lord, I kept seeing what I wanted to eat. So I just got up. And said, I gotta do it, And so I got up and I cooked, and God said, you see, you kept the vision and you knew that's what you wanted to eat. So you had a strong will to get up and do it. Now, I could have ate some cereal, but that ain't really what I wanted. I wanted some green tomatoes and I wanted some bacon. And that vision kept in my mind. It may seem like it's small, but it's not, because I had to keep the vision. It kept right there, just wouldn't move, And so what I did was I had to press to get up. I was so sleepy and so tired and so fatigued, I was like, oh Lord, okay. But once I got up and I pressed myself and I started preparing it and I kept my focus, I said, this is what I have to do. I have to get up. I have to prepare it in order for me to cook it. I have to go through the necessary things in order for me to get a finished product so I could eat it. But once I got up and I was determined, I felt a little better, even though I'm still tired and still fatigued. God say, that's the message I want you to do today, that you have to have a strong purpose to move forward. You have to have a strong will to move forward, And so my will had to be strong. My will had to override how I was feeling, And then God was like, okay, that's what I want you to do it on. What you did earlier, I wasn't feeling it. So I told my husband, I said, you know what, I'm going to erase that one because I just wasn't feeling it, So God said, I want you to do the strong will to move forward. And that's in anything. When because sloth is one of the deadly sins. And we know that God don't like when we be lazy. And sometimes we have to push ourselves to do things. And that's why a lot of people lose jobs, because they get lazy. They don't want to get up and go to work. And then, but they don't think about their bills have to be paid, their house note, their car note, or whatever they have to eat, See, they lose their focus, and that's what helped them not have a will. But when you keep that focus on, like, I gotta pay my bills, I gotta pay my house note, I gotta pay my car note, I gotta make sure I take care of my children, where it applies to all those who are parents. I know I have to do yard work, I know I have to do this. See, whatever it is that you have to do in life, you have to motivate yourself. You can't be the type of person that somebody gonna have to come by you and just push you, because it's not gonna always be someone around to push you. You have to have that strong will to say, look, I know this have to be done and I'm gonna have to get up and do it. But when you keep putting stuff on, it's gonna get put stuff off, it's going to get worse. You have to have that strong determination, that strong will, and you have to say, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. That's what I had to tell myself, because these last four days, I've been so 4 or 5 days, I've been so fatigued. I got a lot of things going on within myself, but it's times I have to push myself. It's a time I have to rest, but it's the time that God tell me to get up and push myself and move forward. It's like I'm working on a project right now. I'm almost finished. I'm like right at the end, but even though I have distractions and days that, I really don't feel good and I can't work on it, I'm still got that focus. I still have my eyes on the finished product. But I know that I got to finish it. I got to work on it in order to get the finished product. In order to get your healing, you have to keep your mind on the Lord. You have to stay positive. You have to be determined. You have to show up for life each and every day. But if you keep telling yourself you can't, and you keep telling yourself that you're sick and you ain't going to make it, then you're going to be sick and you ain't going to make it. But if you be determined to get up and say, hey, I am not going to let this stop me. I am not going to let this debilitate resuscitate me. God is a healer. And he told me by Jesus' stripes, I am healed. So by Jesus' stripes, I am healthy and whole. And God said that it is his plan, his purpose for us to prosper and to grow and to be in good health. God wants us to prosper. He wants us to grow. He wants us to be in good health. And God in Isaiah 55 said, he said he is a God that cannot lie. So I know he's not going to lie to me. So I know that I'm going to speak positive over my life. And I know that the enemy is here to kill, steal, and destroy. But I know God is here to give me a life and a life more abundantly. That's why he sent his son to die for me. But I know I must submit to him in order to resist the devil, and he will flee. The enemy can't defeat us if we are 100% committed to our God. Then he can't defeat us. Because if you're 100% committed, then you will put on your armor each and every day. You will put on your helmet of salvation. You will put on your breastplate of righteousness. You will put on your belt of truth. You will put on wear your sword of the spirit, your shield of faith, and your shoes of peace, of readiness of peace. You'll have on your shoes of peace each and every day. You will walk in peace with all man. You will let no man or woman disturb your peace, because Jesus said, I give you peace. I freely give it. So if Jesus gives you peace, why give it to somebody else? You have to keep your eyes and mind on the prize. You have to remember that when you're dealing with dark spirits, you know, in high places, they work through people. So you have to get your eyes off the person and realize what you're dealing with. You have to say, okay, the enemy is trying to trick me. He's trying to make me be upset and lose my peace so I could lose my focus. But I'm keeping my mind on the prize. I'm keeping my eyes on the purpose of what God has for me. Whether it's my healing, I'm working on a project, my job, if I'm going in some type of sport, or whatever the situation may be. You might want to be a company owner of a company one day. You may, whatever. You have to keep your mind on it. You know, that's kids in school. How you think they pass from one grade to the other? How you think that they pass their test? It's because they go and study. In order to pass that test and go to the next grade, they keeping their focus on passing. So they know they have to study. They have to go through the necessary things. And yes, it's going to be hard. Some days they have to stay up all night. Some days they're going to have to forsake things and say, no, I can't go out and play. No, I can't go over there. No, I can't go over your house because I have to practice. I mean, I have to study. But athletes have to say, nope, I'm not doing that, you know, because I have to go to practice. I have to get me some sleep. I have to get me some rest because I have to practice. I want to be the best I can be. See, when you want to be the best that you could be, you have to forsake some things. You have to keep your eyes on the goal, on your dream, on your focus, and don't let any person, place, a thing come and distract you, because the enemy works through people to try to distract you. And that's why a lot of people ended up with certain addictions, addictive behavior, addicted to drugs and alcohol, is because they let the enemy come and make them lose their focus, and then they feel like that window of opportunity is gone, so they try to relieve the pain, the mental pain and the mental anguish, so they turn into drugs and alcohol to make them forget that. But you have to, you know, realize that if God promised you something, sometimes you can't worry about the timing, because God's timing is more accurate than ours. The enemy wants you to give up. He wants you to think that it's past the time. But you have to think about Abraham and Sarah. They had Isaac way past the childbearing years. You know, God promised it to him, and he made good on his promise. And that's what you have to do. You have to keep a strong will. I don't care what you're going through. If you're going through trouble at your job, you have to realize you can't quit. If you got to keep your focus on your bills, on your family, on your kids, you know, on your home, your utilities, you have to realize I have to go to work because I have to pay my bills. I can't let nobody at the workplace distract me. I can't let nothing stop me. I know that that's what I have to do, you know. And if you're sick with something, you have to keep your eyes on Jesus, on the healing. You have to say, okay, you know, Jesus said, by his stripes I'm healed. I might have to go through things, but I'm not going to let that distract me. The enemy going to come and he going to try to distract me and have me in fear, thinking it's not going to happen. He going to work through people. But I know what God's word said. God's word it said it is true. Jesus said, come to me. All those who are heavy laden with burden, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon thee and learn of me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I know the lady with the issue of blood, she was sick. She had the issue for excuse me, for years, several years. And she pressed to the Lord. She got her healing. She was made whole. So I'm going to keep pressing. I don't care what come my way, I'm going to keep pressing through. But I'm not going to take my mind off of what God promised me. And God promised me healing. He promised me a new life in the Lord. He promised me a prosperous life, for me to be in good health and for me to prosper. So I'm going to keep my eyes on the Lord, because I know through him I have been made right. I know it might take some time, but I'm going to keep pressing. I'm going to keep pressing. I'm going to keep my eyes, and I know that if I keep pressing, I have a strong will and I'm determined to move forward. And I know I have to go through things, that everything is not going to be easy. Some things is hard, but I can't take my mind off my focus. I have to keep my eyes on my focus. I can't take it off. I can't, because quitting is not an option. You can't lose your focus. It's not an option. If you want to press forward, don't have no regrets. You have to have a strong will to move forward. You have to think about what Jesus did. You know, nothing that you have gone through can amount what he suffered and what he entailed and what he took for us. He went through a lot of stuff, you know, but what did he do? He kept pressing, and he ended up sitting at the right hand of God, the Father. Woo! You want God to say, well done, good and faithful servant. You want to keep pressing. You have to say each and every day, you have to speak your healing, but it have to be on the inside of you. You have to realize in order to get your healing, you have to obey God. You have to do the things he tell you to do. You have to leave people, places, and things alone that he tell you to do. You have to trust him, because God wouldn't tell you to do nothing that is wrong. He wouldn't tell you to do nothing to hinder you or to make you fall. God will tell things that will build you, mold you, and shape you and get you ready and prepare you for the blessing. But you have to have a strong will. You have to do your part. You have to be determined. You have to keep pressing. I don't care if right now you feel that you're really low. You have to keep pressing and keep pressing. Keep your eyes and mind on the Lord and what he has promised you. If you're working on a project, you got to keep pressing. If you're working for that promotion at work, you got to keep pressing. If God promised you that promotion, you got to keep pressing. If God promised you a new house, you got to keep going to work, because God said that he's going to do it. You might have to take some stuff. Now, the enemy going to come along and try to get you to quit, because he don't want you to get the promise. But you have to say, no, not today, enemy. I'm keeping my eyes and mind on the Lord. I'm getting my eyes and mind on that house that God promised me, my healing that he promised me, my child being set free, relationship being restored. I'm keeping my eyes on that and trusting him. But you know what? I'm going to keep pressing and know that I have to go through these things. If I have to leave people alone, then I know just like God working in me, God is working on them. And by the time he restore our relationship, then we'll be able to have a relationship together. So you know what? I'm going to trust in the Lord. Whoo! Praise the Lord. So you have to be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. And you have to say, with long life, he satisfied me and shows me his salvation. You have to be strong in the Lord. You can't be strong on your own. You have to say, I could do all things through Christ which strengthens me. All throughout the day, you got to keep pressing. You know, when things get hard, you have to say, I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You have to tell yourself, it is not an option to quit. It's not an option to stop. It's not an option to turn around. You have to keep pressing forward. If you keep pressing forward, you keep being determined, you keep your eyes on the prize, you keep your focus, I guarantee you eventually you will get there. But you have to go through necessary things. You have to go through necessary preparation, necessary change. You know, even though things is hard, you know, you can't lose your focus. Just think about a lady who carry a baby. You know know that at first when she first get pregnant, she may be sleepy and and tired and stuff, but as she go on, the bigger she get, as each month go on, when it get closer and closer to the time of her to give birth, she get uncomfortable. It's hard for her to sleep, but her mind is kept on that baby because that baby is with her everywhere she go. So whatever you going through in life and whatever the purpose and the plan in your life that that God told you, wherever you go, even though it's painful and uncomfortable, just like the lady who carry a baby for 9 months, you have to realize that you carrying your gift inside you, the promise inside you, and one day you're going to give birth. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes you might not be able to sleep. Sometimes you might not be able to walk real good. Sometimes you have to rest. You're going to go through pain, but keep your eyes on what God showed you, because one day you're going to give birth. And see, when that lady give birth, she may go through labor pains, and that's what you're going through in life. You're going through labor pains. Whatever you're going through now, if it's painful, you say, I'm going through labor pains. And when people have real bad labor pain, the harder the pain, the greater the blessing. So that's why you have to go through things and realize in life, you know what, I'm going through labor pains, but I'm determined. Do you think the lady going to go to the hospital and tell them to take this baby from them because she going through pain? And sometimes they have the pain called Braxton Hicks, where it's like labor pains, but they're not really. It's a false alarm, But you might have Braxton Hicks, it might not be time for you to give birth, but you might have pain. But you have to realize that, okay, I'm going to have this baby sooner or later. A lady, she don't carry a baby for 20 months. She knows sooner or later that she's going to have a baby. So she keep on pressing. Then no matter how bad those labor pains is, when she give birth to that beautiful boy or girl or twins or triplets or whatever, she forget about all that pain. And she say it was well worth it. She don't even think about that pain. She just be happy in what she's holding in her hand. And that's what you have to do. Just go through your labor pains. You have to go through them. You have to press forward, because you're going to give birth sooner or later. But quitting is not an option. If you quit, you would never know what could have been, and let God be the one of time, because God is the one who controls time. If he promised you something, keep on pressing. And just like he performed miracles all the time. Just like I said, Abraham and Sarah had Isaac way past the childbearing years, and he promised him to him. He gave it to him, He didn't give him Isaac when they thought he was going to give it to him, but he did bless them with Isaac. See, God is a good and faithful father, and whatever the plan is, you have to keep your focus. Whatever dream is in your heart, whatever desire in your heart, you can't let the fire go out. You got to keep it strong. If you're determined to be healthy and whole, and you determined to get your healing, if the doctor gave you some type of information or doctor's report about some type of disease, and you have to say, I'm not living that. You got to keep your eyes and mind on the Lord. Say, Lord, I don't care the symptoms. I don't care what I'm going through, but I'm not going to give up. I am determined. I'm going to keep pressing forward. I will not give up. Giving up is not an option in my life. I am going to press forward, and I'm going to keep it going. I don't care what enemy come by, because the enemy is here to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants to steal your dream. He wants to destroy your dream, Whew. He want to steal what's inside you by showing you some other things, But you have to know he the father of lies. He try to appear as an angel of light. He going to try to draw you close to him, and try to act like he your friend. And all the while, he trying to find out information. He trying to find ways to help you lose your blessing. But you can't let him win, because you have to be determined. Whatever going through, whatever labor pains you're having in life, you have to keep moving forward. I don't care if you're having pain in a relationship. I don't care if you're having pain on the job, in the company, in your body. Whatever labor pains you're going through, you have to realize that you're going to have a baby sooner or later. You can't lose your focus. You have to say, well, it's not happening today, but I know it will happen. I know each day I wake up, I'm a step closer to giving birth to my goal, to my dream, to my focus, to the plan and the purpose that God has for my life. I know that I'm going to end up at my destination, but I can't stop. I can't make no detours. I can't turn around, and I can't let no one put fear in me. You have to realize that it's you, the one that have to have the desire and the focus and a determination for your own life. Can't nobody have it for you. You don't need somebody around you each and every day to push you to do stuff. You have to have a strong will to get up, you know. You have to get up and show up. If it's something that you have to do, you know, if you don't, you know, if you got to do it, you might as well just go on and do it. Yeah, it's a time to rest, but it's a time to get up and take care of your business and do the things you have to do. Praise the Lord. I hope that you have enjoyed this message, and bow your heads in prayer. Father God, we just thank you that you helping us realize that we have to have a strong will to move forward in life. We have to have that desire and that fire inside. We have to keep our focus. We have to keep the determination alive. And we can't lose focus or lose sight of what you have promised us. We got to keep our eyes and mind on you and what you promised us. And we have to keep pressing through the necessary labor pains we have to go through in order to give birth to our blessing. In Jesus' mighty name, I ask, Father, that you watch over each household, help them do the things necessary they need to do for them if they can't do for themselves, and let your will be done over their life. In Jesus' mighty name, we pray. Until next time, remember, you have to have a strong will to move forward in your endeavors in life. Until next time, peace.